Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Deep Dive, the show where we take you inside what's going on to show you what's actually happening and allowing you to make an informed decision. And as always, this and other podcasts in the Jazzy Groove Rainy Day Podcast family are brought to you by the power of five. If you like what we're doing, at the very least, hit the like button, show your love and support. Okay, on with today's podcast. And today's podcast is a deep dive into Daisy Chen. Daisy's not her real, that's her American name. Shout out to Myron Gaines from Fashion Fit, who has definitely debunked this entire thing. And the reason why we're going into this today is because I honestly thought, okay, she's been exposed. Everyone knows, everyone's laughing at her. She'll go away. Not old Daisy. She's going to continue to support her narrative come hell or high water. And this time, she brought a friend. We're going to get into the video now without any further ado. So let's get into it and we will discuss
it. Irony.
What is ironic?
Ironic?
Ironic? Oh.
So I'm going to get through some of my questions. I have some questions for you, some questions for Noel, and then Andrew has some questions. So I'll just try to get through mine as quickly as possible. And then Andrew has a couple questions, and then we'll go from there. I think a good starting point, though, is so you were involved, romantically involved with Walter from the F&F podcast, and you guys were dating.
Yeah.
And can you just give us a quick, maybe 30-second summary of kind of everything that's...
Okay. For proper context, they weren't dating. Were they seeing each other? Absolutely. Yeah, they were. But when you date someone, that's when you officially bestow the title of girlfriend/boyfriend on the other person and you move forward. I never heard Walter say that she was his girlfriend. So therefore, technically, realistically, and honestly, they weren't dating. Let's see what she has to say about that.
It's gone down, and then we'll get into the details.
Okay, so yeah, I've dated this guy. He was the owner of the podcast of Fashion Fit.
See how she makes stuff up already? He never said he was the owner of Fresh and Fit. He's a co-host. If anybody owns it, it's Myron. He pumps the money into it. He secures the place for it. He pays the bills for it. It's Myron. And to his credit, never have I ever heard, in the time that I've been listening to him, which is about 2.5, maybe 3 years, have I ever heard Walter say he owned Fresh and Fit. He doesn't even say he co-owned it. He's simply a co-host. And behind the scenes, he's a networking agent. He makes things happen behind the scenes. That's his value to it. And each will tell you unabashedly that they wouldn't be where they are without the other one. But no, he's never, ever, ever, ever said that he's the owner of Fresh and Fit. So she's lying off rip. But let's continue.
And I met him on last year, November.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start become official in December. End of December, it was like New Year.
Nope. Lie number 2. They weren't official. You can say what you want, but it takes 2. And if one person says no, 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 the other person says yes, 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 based upon the things that we found out in the interim, I tend to believe him. You are an escort, Miss Chen. Until you prove otherwise, that's what I've seen it. I can't unsee it. So you have no credibility in this argument whatsoever off rip. But I digress. Let's get back to it.
So he made it official. He posted us on YouTube. Caption was, "She bought my mom a gift. Now it's serious." And he asked me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. From Fresh's own mouth came the admission that everybody meets his mother. Everybody. Now, to us in the West in general, and America in particular, meeting the parents is a big step because that means you're serious and you're thinking about going all the way with your relationship. But he's from Barbados. And he said everyone meets his mother. Everyone. Serious or otherwise. Now, did you ever hear him say afterwards that he talks to his mother about you? No, you haven't. Why is that? Simple. You ain't that special. You simply not that special. You want to be. And this whole thing, and you're going to hear about it later, but this whole thing, the more I think about it, and the more I ponder over it, and the more I rack it through my brains, and the whole kit and caboodle, the more it reeks of desperation and vengeance. You're not going to make me your girlfriend? I'll show you. It's your baby. Now, watch him say he'll do what it takes to make it happen. What? He's not saying that. Okay, we'll make him pay. Let's get back to it and let's hear more of these lies.
Person, like, I want you to be mine, no other guys. Then I went back home for Chinese New Year. Then we started talking, like, then I told him I was gonna move to Miami, and that's what happened. Then when we actually came back to Miami, I stayed in his apartment for more than 2 weeks. Then I got pregnant.
You notice how she just glossed over the moving to Miami bit. They glossed over it because Fresh said no. Why did he say no? Because due to the vetting process, which Fresh and Fit often admonish to prospective males that want to become high value, or at the very least, get game up. They tell you, vet the female. At least a year. They weren't dating a year. They weren't seeing each other for a year. They weren't seeing each other for 3 months before it started falling apart. Fresh saw behavior that raised red flags and therefore said, okay, sex only. I'm going to sell this girl a dream. Now, did he make mistakes? Yes, he did. Pro tip. Never, ever, ever go raw dog on a female. I don't even care how much she wants you to. No, don't do it. Protect your seed. Because it can be used against you. As you see with this whole thing playing out now. But no, I digress again. I keep doing it. I'm very sorry. Let's get back to it.
I got pregnant. Then he like when I found out I'm pregnant, he already broke up with me. That was like 2 weeks later. I stayed in Miami.
He broke up with you?
He broke up with me before I found out I'm pregnant.
Okay.
Why did he break up with you?
Why? Yeah, why? Why? Let's hear what she has to say about that. Why did he break up with you?
I don't know. He just switches off.
No, you're a hoe and he found out. End of story. I don't know. He just flipped. No, you do know. You're hoping we don't. But we do. And notice how she started off smiling and everything like that. And now these light questions, these top layer questions have taken a smile off her face. Makes me beg the question, why? Why are you not smiling anymore? Surely these aren't gotcha questions. They're simply probative. They're like, well, why did he break up with you? I don't know. He split. Let's get back to it.
Which I found out later that he might be playing the game the whole time. And
No, again, I'm very, very sorry for constantly stopping this video. But no, absolutely not. You didn't pass the vetting process. So he's very nicely trying to let you down. He's letting you down easy. That's what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing. Let's get back to it.
he didn't want the kid. So when I called him, he
Well, did you just hear that? Did you hear that? He didn't want the kid. And keep that in mind, because we're going to revisit that a little bit later.
told me, I don't want the baby. You go get a pill.
No. Again, I'm very sorry for constantly stopping this video so you really can't get a feel for it. But I can't be silent about it. He didn't say you have to get the pill. He didn't say you had to. He said you could do it. Would he prefer you to do that? Yes, he would have. Full disclosure. Because he didn't want the kid. Which is his right. Now, if he had nutted in her, this would all be a moot conversation. But unfortunately, he did. That still doesn't absolve her of the fact that it takes two. She allowed it. She probably even encouraged it. Because she saw him as a meal ticket. I'm going to get with this guy. I'm going to have his kid. And he is going to give me the life that I want to lead here in America. Not thinking he ain't the one. He's not a simp. And then this whole thing morphed into the ugly spectacle that it is now. I'm going to try to let this play for a bit longer. And then I'll stop it and really let you know what I think.
That's it. That's
Okay.
That's
Actually, I did have one other question before we delve into this. Actually, you know what? Maybe we'll come to it at the end. I was going to ask you kind of, did you do any dating when you were living in China?
no.
No dating. Okay,
I
then
cut
it's
it
not
off.
worth.
Like I was completely solid.
Okay, because I just, it's unrelated to the Walter thing, but I was just curious about, you know, perhaps the differences in terms of dating in China versus here in the U.S. Or, you know, those differences. But we'll come back to that. So,
Yeah.
so I think you went over timeline here. So you were, you met him in November. Is that correct, Daisy?
Right.
And then you broke up in February or March? March. And
March 25th, he broke up with me.
March 25th, he broke up with you. When did you find out you were pregnant?
April 1st.
April 1st.
Yeah, I did a test. I had a pregnancy test on April 1st.
I know I said I'd stop it, but what's April 1st? What is it? I'll let you get back to it.
Okay.
So that's like, I went ahead and I texted him. I showed
Okay.
him the pregnancy test.
Okay.
Then he's like, I'm going to call you back. Then he told me I don't want any kids.
So you took a pregnancy test.
Mm-hmm.
You were texting him. You let him know.
Yeah.
And then not long thereafter, he wanted to call you, or you wanted to call him?
He said he was on some kind of party, and he said, oh, I'm going to call you back. So he called me back for 5 minutes. Didn't went well.
Was this the conversation that you recorded?
No.
Okay.
That was later.
That was later. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Pro tip. In the state of Florida, it is a criminal offense to record someone without their prior knowledge and or consent. She got neither. That's a felony. That's a felony. We'll be right back. Did you get any mail?
I left it on the thing.
Okay.
Tomorrow is going to be such a busy day for me. I'm going to Mr. White's room all day to help dissect frogs. But guess what I got on my Spanish final?
90.
83,
Okay.
which is really good. And on my science final, which was the one I was really scared about, I got an 85.
There you go.
You know, I'm so proud of myself. But now I must go do what I do.
Okay.
Bye. But yeah, mail is on the couch.
And we're back. Had to talk to the little one. Let's get back into it.
I guess perhaps the first thing we do is actually listen to the recorded conversation that you have with him. One point of clarification: there seems to be some discussion of a lawsuit. I'm a little confused there.
Yeah.
Is there actually a lawsuit?
Yes, it just went very slow.
Are you the
with my
defendant
lawyer.
or the plaintiff?
Defendant?
You're the defendant.
Yeah.
Okay, so Walter filed a defamation?
No,
What-
no.
what-
I am going to file a defamation lawsuit.
But there's not
And also,
currently, nobody's
my-
filed.
Not yet. My lawyer is working on every evidence right now.
So you do have a lawyer?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So there hasn't been a filed case yet, but you intend to file, is it a defamation action?
And
I think she's lying. I honestly think she's lying. Because she said she was a defendant first, which would mean that Walter Weeks, aka Fresh, has filed against her. Now she's saying that nothing's been filed yet and she's going to file, and her lawyer just said nothing. If a lawyer takes this case on her side, they've got to know that this is a losing battle. Simply because she has committed criminal offenses in America, and she's not an American citizen. If this was anybody else of any sort of regular schmegular background, they'd be gone. If this was a Latina, she'd be gone. But no, she's a Chinese national, and we're trying to curry favor with them. Well, maybe not curry favor with them. I won't say that. But we're trying to keep on their good side. So this isn't going the way it normally would go. But at the same time, this is not a good look. At all. For anyone. Let's get back to it.
And coercion. Coercion.
Coercion.
Coercion.
Coercion.
Yeah, coercion.
Right.
And you're doing this, I'm assuming, in the state of Florida. Is that correct?
That I have to follow up with my lawyer.
Because you said you live in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm staying in New York.
Is there any reason you would file it in New York versus Florida? Because he lives in Florida, and, right?
I don't know actually. My
Lie, get out. You know he lives in Florida. The alleged offense happened in Florida. So why wouldn't you have the case here in Florida? Because you couldn't win it in Florida. And you know this. You absolutely know it. One thing, okay. One sec. One thing that I cannot abide by. I can't stomach it, let alone stand it, is when someone willingly lies to further their agenda. This is a straight up lie. She's lied about everything so far. She's lied about things she doesn't have to lie about. She's a classic case of DTS, Donald Trump syndrome. Doesn't know how not to tell a lie. You have been documented providing sex for money, aka prostitution, in your home country. Which I think it was your home country. I don't know where it was. But you've been documented. You're on tape, soliciting sex for money. There's an arrest record that you have regarding illegal. What is it? Oh, I can't think of the name of it. But it's when you take money for your services, fraud. You've been arrested for fraud. Now, whether you have or haven't been prosecuted and or convicted for it, it's a story for another day. But unless you can prove to me you've been exonerated of that, that hangs over your head. You tape a conversation between you and Walter in the state of Florida. Did Walter know it was being recorded? No. Did he have a suspicion? Yes. Did he know? No. Did you ask? No. Because if you asked him, he would have told you no and hung up the phone. And you know that. But that wouldn't advance your objective. And we're not going to play the court. We're not going to play the video and or the audio because I've heard it enough. I've heard enough of that to know that I don't want to hear any more of it. So let's see what we get to now.
Thank you.
Thanks for the 200.
Wait, so hold on.
Thanks for the 200. You're not getting it. So what are you thanking him for? You're not going to see a penny of it. Not one red cent. That's going to the Whatever podcast. And before we go any further, shout out to Brian and Andrew. Am I a big fan of the Whatever podcast? Not really. Do I watch it? Yeah, I do. I watch it for the train wrecks that often happen on this show. And to his credit, Brian has constantly said that he and Walter are not friends. He said as much. But when you start to spew a narrative and he's finding holes in it, he's gonna have you on the show to find out what's what. And that's what this is. This is a what's what. He's going to find out for himself what's going on. Would I do that? Nah. I'm good. I'm good. But, let's get back.
Go ahead with what you were saying.
We actually both plan to have the baby, and I want to have this certain understand when the father is there.
Wait, just to be clear, he planned to have the baby.
Yeah.
No. See, you can say what you want on this podcast because he's not there to defend himself. And you know he's not, so you can spew whatever narrative that you want, thinking that, okay, this is going to get over, I'm going to get sympathy from this, I'm going to advance my cause. But these questions are becoming more and more probative. And the reason why they're becoming more and more probative, is because the more you talk, the less credible you come off as. Brings to mind the old saying, rather be silent and give the appearance of a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. Which segues very nicely into another one of my wonderful sayings, and that's this. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Not a good look. But you keep on saying what you're saying. Because the more you say it, the more ammunition you give Mr. Weeks to bury you in court. And that's where this is headed. Let's get back to it.
Wait,
Because-
but you only dated for a month?
No, we dated 4 months.
Wait, so
For
he,
4 months and you
he
wanted to have
told-
his baby?
He told you he wants to have a kid.
He said if it happens, it happens.
Okay.
He asked
That's not saying he wants a baby. And again, he can't refute this or even agree with it. He's not there. Absent him being there to either defend or acknowledge what you said, you're hoping that conventional wisdom says he must have said it. But you're a liar. We know you're a liar. Let's get back to it.
me, what if you get pregnant? I said, I'm going to keep the baby because I want to have a baby with you. And I'm 28. I'm ready to have a kid.
Why did you?
He also said at the very beginning he didn't want to have a kid right now. Which tells me you were going to trap him with that baby. That was your plan all along. Because you felt, and it's a known fact, that if you could prove that that was his baby, he'd take care of it. And he's got money, so you'd live a good life. You were set for the next 18 years of your life. That's what you were banking on. Quite literally, that's what you were banking on. What you didn't bank on was two things. The fact that he'd give you pushback, and that eventually you'd lose the baby. Which begs another question. Did you really have it? Were you really pregnant? See, this is what I'm talking about when I say a crisis of faith. Because I've shot enough holes in what she said so far to cast doubt on just about everything. So the next logical argument is going to be, were you really pregnant? I showed you things. You didn't show me his pregnancy. You showed me a pregnancy test. Didn't have to be his. Which lends either one of two options at this point. Either A, you got them from somebody who was pregnant and passed them as your own, or B, it was somebody else's kid. I wouldn't put it past either one for you. And this is why I tell people, if I'm dating today, I don't know if I would have children. I don't know if I would get married. Because there's too much shadiness going on. And I apologize for not going back to the video. Now we're back into it. Let's get at it.
Do you want to have his? I just think like in 4 months.
I was in love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in love.
I was in love. I was in love. No, you weren't. Oh, no, you weren't. You were in love with his money. You were in love with his lifestyle. So you tolerated him. Now, that's not to say that you honestly didn't love him, because maybe you did. I don't know. I find that incredibly hard to believe. With all the incentives you had for having his baby. But you gotta say you love him. Did you actually love him? That's debatable. And one thing that will be said later on, and I hope we get to it. If not, don't worry, there'll be a part 2 to this. But one thing that was said is, if you wanted him to be the father, why spring this on him? Because he let you off very nicely. When it clicked on him that you might be recording this conversation, and then you got the generic answers that you got, most guys would let you have it with both barrels. Right between the eyes for maximum effect. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I have just some more questions though, but yeah, it just seems very. So okay, he said he wanted to have a kid with you. I mean, we know that, like, you had some tweets that you also released, or excuse me, not tweets, text messages that you released, which indicated that you guys were perhaps not being safe. I won't get into more detail, but you guys were not being safe on that front. You were not on birth control, is my understanding. Were you taking Plan B at all, or no Plan B?
No, he nothing
Okay.
in me every day.
Okay.
As you guys know, he does that to many girls, not just.
And you know this because he told you this. You're going to come out and say that you got other girls and other things later on. Could be, but you're a liar, so that's going to throw doubt on that. But he told you that.
Me.
I don't know the
Okay,
details of
so-
that, but
Was he
but-
doing that with other girls when you guys were together?
The one next to me. I'm
Oh.
sorry.
So okay, so
The one next to me. He did it to him. And you notice she hasn't said a word yet. That should change.
I'm a little confused
I'm
though.
sorry, Noel, but
But-
I'm just kind of.
Everybody
Very-
already knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just a bit confused here. You said it's against your religion
Yeah.
to get an abortion, and you're a
Yeah.
Buddhist.
I'm Buddhist.
Is
I
it-
don't believe in kill anything, like even the ants.
Okay.
But-
Yeah, but
Wait, Andrew.
the reason you don't believe that is because why? The reason you don't believe you should kill anything in Buddhism is for what purpose?
It's because in Buddhism religions, we don't believe in do anything harm to people or to animals.
Right,
So if
because
we
the
do that,
the
we go to.
entailment-
If we do that, we go to hell.
Yeah, so
No, you don't. Buddhists don't believe in hell. I'll tell you that for nothing. So again, you lie. You lie.
Don't
this
have
would be,
next
in your
life.
estimation, a person, correct?
What does that mean?
That means that the baby that you were carrying, it was a person from your worldview.
It was a person.
It was a person.
And you killed it. You killed. I don't care how many people got on you. It was your decision. You chose to kill it. At the end of the day, it was you. And how convenient is it that now that you're no longer pregnant? How convenient is that? The BS stench in this place is mind-boggling.
Hey, pay to win. Thank you for the gifted 20 memberships. Guys, I'm going to actually put a brief temporary pause on the TTS just so we can get through this without interruptions. Andrew, I'm down to have you come in on this.
Yeah, no problem.
Are you cool
I
if I
wanted to
just-
get clarification on that point.
Okay, cool. I just want to try to get through my questions and I'll totally open it up to you, Andrew. So you are a Buddhist though?
Yes.
Okay. And under the Buddhist, is the Buddhist position like abortion is, it's not allowed
It's
within
not,
that faith?
I want to correct that. When I say that, I was very emotional, and as you guys know, English is not my.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I meant in Buddhism, we don't believe in kill anybody or doing anything harm to people, because we want to be kind to everybody.
Right.
And yet you chose to kill the baby. full disclosure, I am pro-choice. I wouldn't have an abortion, but I'm lucky. I'm a guy, so I don't need one. I am pro-choice, but I also believe that because I cannot have children of my own, I am not inclined to force my views on another person. If you want to have one, have one. If you don't, don't. It's that simple. Who are you to tell someone else what they can or can't do with their body? Are you God? Nope. Are you his son, Christ Jesus? Nope. You're not even a minor angel. You are a low, base level human with all the faults and flaws inherent with that archetype. No more, no less. If you don't believe in abortions, don't have one. But don't tell anybody else what they can and can't do with their bodies. It's that simple. Would I like abortion to not be a thing? Yes, I would. Am I going to make that a thing? No, I'm not. Because I believe that whatever choice you make is between you, your doctor, and your creator. That's it. Let's get back to it.
And that's how I feel when I'm surrounding with people. I'm always trying to be honest. But I just can't keep the baby because they are harassing me after. They hired many people and they made many allegations on me. I don't want my kid's father to behave like that. And
Who's there? What are you insinuating? It sounds to me like you're indirectly accusing Fresh and Fit of having you doxxed. Here's where you don't understand the people that you're dealing with. They don't need a reason to come after you. But you came after their heroes. And now you're dogpiling them. You are going to be roasted mercilessly. But, again, I digress. Let me be quiet.
I don't want to be a single mother. I just have to be realistic. I have to be responsible for my life and my kid. Okay. I don't want my baby father is this type of guy, you know. They were making jokes.
Wait, but I think even in that conversation, it sounded like you did want him to be, I mean, you were having sex with him, sleeping with him.
I did.
You did want him to be the father.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Before, even when I had the conversation with him, I was sure I want to keep the baby. 100%.
Okay.
Did you want to marry him?
I don't care about marriage. I don't believe in marriage.
Wait.
More contradictions.
So,
Okay, well, but you did say, like, in that phone conversation that you don't want to kill the baby. It's against your religion. It's against Buddhism. You said you wanted to keep the baby.
Yes.
But you did ultimately get the abortion.
I did because after everything happened, they were internet harassing me. While I'm pregnant, he didn't show up. Doesn't respond everything. Instead, they the whole group of people would insult me on internet, and they were saying they were celebrating me being a single mother, playing a song like, "You let him hit in the role, now you're a single mother."
Right, the song. Well, I mean, but do you think that?
And then also I found out other things about him, that he was doing this to many other girls, and he also mentioned Hail Mary. He brought a girl that.
Well, hold on. Let's just stay focused on your specific.
You notice how she started to bring other people into it and bringing other anecdotal bits of evidence. We're not here for that. We want to know about you. We don't want to know about the other girls and the Hail Mary and all this other nonsense. And as I stated before, you said that you didn't want to kill, you wasn't going to kill the baby because of your religion. But you did. You killed it. And I don't care what the reasoning was for. You can rationalize it all you want. It does not absolve the fact that you did it. It's like I was saying about when that girl was doing OnlyFans things, and I said that I wasn't going to do it because I'm not going to give it the satisfaction knowing that I did it. Same thing. I can rationalize that till the cows come home. I'm going to subscribe to it so I can see what she's really like, and I can dogpile on her and get down and dirty and everything else. Doesn't matter. What really matters, the only thing that matters, is that I did it. I subscribe to it. And you can throw that in my face anytime you like, and I can't say anything about it. You did it. And I said before, this whole thing would have gone away 2, maybe 3 months ago if you'd handled it like a decent human being. Who knows how this would have happened if you went behind the scenes and said, "Listen, man, you got me pregnant. What are you going to do?" But you put that on blast, everybody can hear about it. And no, I don't care. I could have wanted the child. You put me on blast? Nope. Don't want it now. Don't want it. You can have it. Because yes, I am that petty. Now, thinking about it later on, I might soften my stance somewhat. Maybe. But, no. You came at him sideways. And you went for the juggler. But you made a fatal mistake. There's an old saying. When you take out the king, make sure he's dead. You don't want an angry king. You don't want an angry, wounded king. If you're going to take him out, take him out. But no. You thought you did. Which goes back to something else. Which which goes back to something else I'm always talking about. Women are not dumb. They're conniving. They're vindictive. They're emotional. They're irrational. They're all those things. Stupid is not one of them. So, let's get back to it.
Relationship with him. So, how far along, when you told him, were you 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks pregnant?
When I told him, it was like probably less than 4 weeks.
Less than 4 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, and is that, how long from when you told him to when you recorded that phone call?
4 days.
4 days. And then from the point that you recorded the phone call, how soon after did you release the phone call to the internet?
Like a few days later.
A few days later.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Wait, I don't really remember when I recorded, but I know when I released it a few days later, not immediately.
okay.
Doesn't make it right. And that makes it even worse, because now, according to you yourself, you had time to think about it. Should I do this? Should I not do this? What are the pros and cons of me doing it and not doing it? And you came with, yeah, I'm going to do it. You had 96 hours, 4 days, to deliberate and come to a conclusion on whether or not you're going to do this. If what your story is to be believed. And again, you lied so much that even that's hard to believe. Even that. Let's get back.
And I mean, you're saying though he was hesitant to be involved. I mean, certainly look, I mean, even if it was the case that I mean, you can't force him to be involved in terms of parentage, but I mean,
I can't force,
there would have been some sort of child support payment, for example.
But I don't want a child support. I want my baby father to be there.
Okay. Well, but I mean,
yeah, and you wanted him there so much that you dragged his name all through the mud because he didn't want to pay for your apartment. Time to call a spade a spade. He didn't want to pay for it. You couldn't pay for it? You got money. Irrespective of how you got it, which is a great big question mark in and of itself. You had money. You could get one yourself. But wait, no. No, you can't. Because that's not his money. That's your money. And we're not spending my money unless we have to. Or unless I have to. Shades of Heavy D, shout out to the late great one. What's yours is mine. What's mine is mine. You get nothing. I get everything. And you wonder why so many guys won't commit to you higher class women. Let's be honest. Objectively, she looks good. Is she all that? No. That's a personal opinion of mine. It might not be right. It might be right. It's right to some. It's wrong to others. And that's okay. Because it's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. And I'm not trying to sway anybody with my opinion. I'm simply stating what it is. She's a pretty girl. No more, no less. But she's a pretty girl with delusions of grandeur. She thought she found a simp. She found out otherwise.
I mean, don't you think, I mean, this is from the time you told him to the point that you released all of this on the internet, it sounds like maybe only about, what, 7 days went by?
Yeah.
I mean, so, I mean, for most men, I would assume can be pretty shocking, especially someone who you just broke up with. It takes time to process that sort of thing. I mean, don't you feel like you kind of took the first shot in all of this?
No.
Yes, you did. See? Lie. She lied. Yes, you did. Because up to that point, when you decided to release it to the internet, it was a private, privileged conversation in which he sat there and said to you, I don't want it. And you could do this. He didn't say you had to do it. Did he want you to do it? Yeah. Did you have to agree to it? No. There was no coercion. Be very, very, very careful about your choice of words. Because it's bad enough that you're going to be arrested and arraigned and tried as a felon in the court of law in the state of Florida. That's bad enough. But then you're going to get nailed with slander and libel. You're going to be working for Walter Weeks for the rest of your natural life at this rate. Be very, very careful. And that's free advice for you. Will you listen? Nope. But I don't expect you to. Let's get back to it.
Well, you leaked the private conversation.
Yeah, I leaked. Yeah.
But
And then you admit to it in 4K. How stupid can you be? It's one thing to say it and get it into a he said, she said debate. It's another thing entirely different to actually say, yes, I did. I leaked it. Walter's lawyers are salivating at this. Take the guilty plea and throw yourself at the mercy of the court. Because at this point, I can't say anything for you. And I wouldn't even if I could. Because I'd rather save my breath for something that really matters than to waste it on trash like you. Let's get back.
But don't you think that was an escalation in this? You can say that, he wasn't being responsive to you, but this was an escalation on your part by making this public. And then, of course, from perhaps his perspective, he would be less inclined to want to communicate with you further, because when he did communicate with you, he called you on the phone, you recorded it, which was a private conversation.
I'll tell you, even if I didn't leak the message, he wouldn't take the responsibility.
Well, how do you know that?
Exactly. How do you know that? How do you know that? You don't know, and you'll never know because you released it. You'll never know now. Such an imbecile. Let's get into some more of this.
You gave him 1 week, and then you you went nuclear
based on
the
how
guy.
how we find out who he is later. He basically tricks women, buys fake stuff to trick women, and also
Buys fake stuff. Where's your proof? She rattles through all this stuff here, but has nothing to back it up. This is the type of thing that disintegrates on cursory inspection. Oh, he buys fake stuff? Show me. Show receipts. Is this fake? Did he buy it for you? How do you know it's fake? You just won't let this die, will you? You just will not let this die. Let's get back.
also made other women pregnant. Also on the phone, record. I asked him, "Have you ever made anyone pregnant before?" He said,
Okay.
"Yes."
Sure.
He made his ex-wife get an abortion. So for me, in my head,
Here's where Brian fails. Because the only thing that circles in my mind is that, do you know that recording a conversation that is private in the state of Florida without the other person's consent is a felony? I advise you to shut up right now. Remove yourself from the podcast right now. This cannot end well for you. It's going to end in tears. There is no scenario on this planet where this will possibly work out well for you. Because you said not 5 minutes earlier, and I quote, "I leaked it." And why did you leak it? That's another question. Why did you leak it? To trap him. If he sees how far and wide this thing gets and how many people jump on my side, he'll have no choice but to give me what I want. And I want an apartment. Again, comes back to the material. Comes back to selfishness and greed. You weren't worried about that kid. And I know you were worried about that kid because you killed it. Whether it was his or somebody else's, it's dead. If indeed it was actually alive to begin with. And I don't think that it was. This is what I'm talking about. Shout out to the late, great Kevin Samuels. Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. That is the feminist playbook, aka sign language. Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. You've guilted him. You've insulted him. Have you shamed him? Not yet. Have you tried to prove the need to be right? This entire podcast so far. And we're an hour and 9 minutes in. thing we're missing is shame, and that ship's coming.
I was like, okay, this man doesn't want to take responsibilities, and also we didn't use protection. He just kind of like nutting me every day.
So, did you ask him to? Did you say, hold on, before I let you get in, you gotta wear a condom? No, because you wanted to get pregnant by him. You were trying to trap him. Pearl said it best, and shout out to Pearl. I can't say this enough, but she was right. This is an apex predator. Apex predator. And according to Myron, shout out to Myron from Fresh Fitted once again, he said he never really liked her. Which begs another question. Did Fresh's mother really like you? Oh, I'm sure she nodded her head and said all those nice flowery things that you like to hear. But that doesn't mean she liked you. Shout out to Justin Bieber. My mama don't like you and she likes everyone. Do we know she liked you? I mean, really liked you? Or did she tolerate you? I'm starting to think that everyone in your life that is close to you, outside of your family, tolerated you. She tolerated you. They tolerated you. And judging upon the facts that have been laid out about your past, I don't think your parents liked you very much. I'm sure they did when you were a little girl. But as you grew, not so much. And I know they didn't like you now that I really think about it. And why is that? Because if what you said was true, you would have told your parents, and they would have had the resources to say, you cool, you just here, you stay here, we'll take it from here. They will let you go on a podcast tour all over the place, shouting your position. Because you don't do a very good job of it. And again, full disclosure, I don't know Fresh, I don't know Fit, I don't know Pearl, I don't know any of those guys. Would I like to? Yeah, I would. I think they'd be a blast. But I don't know them. That being said, for the purposes of this conversation, hearing both sides the way that I have heard them, I intend to side more with Fresh. Simply because he told you what it is. You chose not to believe him. He told you in the beginning, I don't want a child. You said you were pregnant where they were in Barbados. So you don't say that part, do you? You allegedly were pregnant in Barbados. You took a test and it was negative. Then you get back to Miami and all of a sudden it's positive. Could that happen? Yeah, it could. But again, I don't believe it. And I don't believe it because I don't believe her. Let's get back.
And also, I wanted to have the kid, you know. So for me, if you don't want a kid, just tell me. Simply tell me, baby, I don't want a kid. Get a plan.
He did. And you ignored it. So stop lying. Again, another fucking lie. You're lying. Why the fuck you lying? I can't take this. She knows the truth, but it doesn't fit her worldview. It doesn't prove the point she's making. She knows what she's saying is false, but to say it out loud would make everyone else right and her wrong, and she can't have that. So, out with the stories. And have you noticed the inconsistencies that are starting to prop up here and there? One thing that I've always said in dealing with people, one thing that I've always said was that when we're talking about things, if you notice, my story doesn't change. If you tell a story and it doesn't change, more times than not, you're being honest. You say you're a Buddhist, but you killed the kid. You say he wanted to have the baby. He told you in the beginning he doesn't want a baby. You say it's official. He never said it was official. And again, if I'm wrong, put it in the chats. Let me know. If you can prove I'm wrong, so noted, I'll apologize for it in real time, on air. But know this. If you come out and tell me something, I'm going to look into it. I'm not just going to accept it at face value. I've never been that way. One thing that drives my way crazy, she'll tell me something, I'll go look at it. Why are you going to look it up? Just to see. Just for my own personal edification and knowledge. Let's get back.
B.
But don't you think
Halas, that's all. But
I mean, don't you think in furtherance of either a reconciliation of your relationship, or if that was just never going to be possible, you guys reconciling romantically, having him involved as a parent, don't you think extending him just the most basic courtesy of keeping this whole thing private could have been in furtherance of, you know, him being involved potentially?
What I've been saying. That's your fatal flaw. What do you have to say about that, Miss Chen?
I really don't know. I'm not sure, but I'll tell you why I decided. When the moment I decided to leak the message, it's because when he texts me, I want to get other 4 girls tested.
Okay.
No. I don't believe it. Because that has nothing to do with the conversation. You decided to leak your situation out to the public because he said he wanted to get 4 girls tested. 4. And you notice it wasn't just 1, it wasn't 2, it wasn't even 3, it was 4 girls. We're going to put a pin in this because I can feel my blood pressure rising, and that's not a good look for me. We're going to come back to this later on, and we're going to do a proper deep dive. And I'm not going to play spoiler. I full disclosure, I've watched this. It's 7 hours. It's almost a full work day worth of video. And all I'm going to say, as far as that's concerned, is I told you. Later, y'all.